Today's Wednesday, August 15th, 2018. Get ready for the Emergency Broadcast System, the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Time to call your friends. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. And special thanks to YouTube.com for hosting the Forbidden History series. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever be construed as medical, hate, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on therealpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on therealpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Stand by for the broadcast. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio, in Amish Country, and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series, the great lies of history, the ABCs of light, the duality in nature and patterns and pictures, the piracy of words, the words that kill. That's all right here, ladies and gentlemen. We are the deprogramming program. It is the battle for your mind. For the light, it is truth, but ignorance, it is darkness. And these are the great antagonists, the one against the other. But once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things, then we can begin to comprehend that there is nothing more to complain about. And you do not know what you do not know until you listen in. It's the great unfolding. And if you don't know where you're going, then any road can get you there. For of all things that great civilizations can create, the only thing that they cannot create is light, ladies and gentlemen. So let there be light. That was the great and first command. And the best way to identify the truth, which is light, is to identify the great lies of history. And that's what we do right here. And it takes 1,000,000 lies to cover the first lie. So do tell your friends, we're getting ready to do a broadcast on the Forbidden History series. And welcome, Ya Love. Good to have you. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Desert Owl, a bird who sees in the night. And hope everybody's doing well out there today. And it's a tough world to get through, and but we've got to get through it. We've got to make sense out of the reality and not the illusions and not the fictions, because that's what they base their matrix on, all illusions. And and we've had some stream problems just yesterday, so I hope it's not affecting people today. I noticed the orange bar again is going as it did yesterday, and so that's an enigma. I don't know what to make of that. So hopefully, it's not going to be a pattern here. But in the meantime, if you have a comment or a question, we do take calls here, and well, the number is 608-566-7295. Of course, we're waiting for other friends to come on here, and so I'll give this number out again. But in the meantime, I wanted to add a feature to the broadcast, and it is, and Mew Mew was the one who actually was mentioning it to me, and I realized, yeah, that would be a good addition to share the Gospel of Thomas, because it's strictly the sayings of Yeshua, and also at the same time it will show the problems that we have within the diction, because there is no perfect translation, and also the one with the Gospel of Thomas has a number of problems with the translation, based on the fact that it appears that those who are translating it were not fully in tune with the the original thought, and therefore there's a number of things that are going on. So I'm just gonna I thought I would do just one, since there's 114 of them, literally 114. I thought I would go ahead and do the I would go ahead and do the do one a day, okay? And that's what I'm going to approach here. And without my audience here this morning, I have a feeling that some type of shenanigans is going on, and that's a very good possibility that something is blocking my notices from going out. Yeah, love, did you get a notice today over there in Germany? Did you get a heads up that the broadcast was starting? Because the stream is orange and it should be green, and it's not going green at any point. So this is really strange. Okay, you may not be by your computer right now, or there's a delay in the feature. Okay, so anyway, I'll go ahead and read. Let me turn on some light here. Deplorable. Thank you for giving me a heads up. Okay, you're not blocked. You got a notice. Very good. Yeah, the orange. The orange bar is usually green, and it's consistently orange. Sometimes it'll fluctuate, but there is no green in it at all, and that's an unusual part of it. You got notifications, Yalov. Thank you. Okay, very good. So, all right, I feel a little better now. So this is the Gospel of Thomas, and there was two copies found of it. One was found in the Nag Hammadi, library in the Upper Nile region, and in well, that'd be deep in southern, what we call Egypt. Of course, it's not Egypt; it's Mitzrayim. And then the other copy was found in the Greek. So we have one that was found in Coptic and one in Greek, that was actually available prior to the discovery of the Nag Hammadi. So they are to be compared with as well when you're reading it, because that would help you. I only have the Nag Hammadi Coptic translation here in front of me, so these are here's the prologue, and these are the hidden breathings, or the mysterious breathings, that Yeshua sparked, and Yudah Toma, the twin, recorded. And here it says twin, but as I had pointed out on one of the previous broadcasts, that Toma is the duplicate. It's about duplication, and it was his title. See, and if you take the Toma correctly without an H, it's just Toma, and then you put the A in front, you get the word atom, atom, and that's where the aspect of this duplicate comes from, because it's about duplication of creation. And Shelley, good to have you. Good morning. And so the duplication, that's what Yeshua was doing. He was duplicating himself with his a mission. What did he say? That greater works you would do. Well, that's quite a duplication. And good morning, Lydia and Diane. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope your dad is doing well. I put up prayers for your dad, so I hope he's doing well. Okay, and good to see you again. So Yeshua, so Thomas is called the duplicate. He's not the twin. They tried to create a story that, well, maybe that actually, Thomas was the twin brother of Yeshua. We didn't get that in our story, did we? I don't think so. And so I've got text coming in. It's just 2 days in a row now that's done that. Okay. So these are the enigmas that are within our scriptures that nobody gets the picture of, and so I'm certainly doing my part to make these clarifications. The duplication. So Thomas being an anagram for the word atom, atom, then we can also comprehend that Yeshua is the first atom, atom. He's the first made of all that is made, and by Yahweh, and therefore everything that came after the first atom, atom, is the duplicate. And so out came the duplication in numbers of the Zen that we could never begin to comprehend. There's no number probably that could describe the volume of atoms that came out to create the universe. When we realize how small an atom is, this shows the infinite nature of Yahweh, the great infinite nature. And you're welcome, Diane. Yes. So and don't forget, anybody can come on here and ask for prayer for their family or whatever they're going through anytime. Okay, and you can call in, or we can post it right there on the board. Okay, so just want to clarify that, because there's a miscomprehension about Thomas. Okay, and they put S's on these things to corrupt them. It's the gospel, or actually the star message of Thomas. Okay, and so these are the mysteries, and he breathed. Whoever discovers the interpretation of these breathings will not taste death. Okay, so that's part of the great mystery right there, because we know that people mortally passed, but that was another illusion, because once they become alive and rise from the dead in Yeshua, the proverbial Lazarus come forth, ray of light come forth, then at that point, death no longer reigns over the followers. And it's an interesting picture that is created with Thomas, because excuse me, got a note falling out here. Because with Lazar, we get the picture in the star message that a messenger comes to Yeshua just prior to his last week in Jerusalem, and the messenger comes and says, your best friend Lazar is dying, and they sent for you. Okay, and so what did he do? He delayed. Did he go right away? No, he delayed, and then he waited actually till he knew he was dead, and then he told his followers, let's go and to Lazar, and they because he is sleeping, and they said, well, if he sleeps, Master, then that must be a good thing. But he says, what I mean is that he is dead. Okay, and we need to go. And I don't want to paraphrase. I'm not sure the next thing Yeshua said, but I'm leading up to something here, and that is that. So then he goes to raise him from the dead, and his sisters, of course, are totally stupefied. They're thinking, okay, he went around for the last 3 years healing everybody that he came in contact with, and couldn't he come here and heal our brother? Couldn't he come here and heal his best friend? And so they're all confused, all confused. And so he when he gets there, then they pose the question to him about that. How come, if you were here, you could have healed him? And he said, didn't I tell you you would see the sunrise? That's the metaphor, the sunrise of the great Father of light. And then Martha says, well, I know that he will rise again in the kingdom. And he says, I am the resurrection and the life. Okay. So the point in this, one of the major points in the story that I'm sure that most people don't get, and so I'm inclined to want to share that with you right now, because it is a powerful picture, because and we talked about the duality, and how Yaakov, the seed of light, wanted Rachel, but instead he got Leah. So he wanted the woman that he loved, the most beautiful flower, to use a metaphor, and instead he got Leah, who was more just more common, and not with the special qualities that he liked. And so therefore so the story is, we all want the Rachel, we want the paradise, we want the beauty of our creation that it unfolds for us. And and sometimes it seems like, well, how come I got Leah instead? How come I want this, but instead of getting this right now, it doesn't make sense, or just like my situation where I'm facing persecution, right? In a big way. And so the point of this story is that he allowed his buddy to die because he was going to show the greatness of Yahweh. He's going to reveal, something that is so profound in nature that that everybody will be in awe. And so very often, in our own spiritual walk, we'll think, well, how come I'm suffering? How come I'm going through hell right now? And I've dedicated my life to, higher truth. Hey, Lou, good to have you. I've dedicated myself to a higher truth, and and at the same time, I seem to be, in the rut, and not on the plateau that I intend to be on, that I want to be on. And so, so with the story with Lazar is that he allowed him to die. He will allow us to die, because we have to die to this world, and therefore suffering very often is a part of the journey. And then we want to ultimately vomit the world out and be sick of everything, and then finally, Yeshua in the Great Mystery says, Lazar, come forth, ray of light, ray. That's what Lazar, a laser. His name is Laser, right? Ray of light, come forth. And then he rose from the dead. So when everybody thought he was finished, it was now to be the symbol of the resurrection that Yeshua was about to enact. Note that Lazar was in the grave 4 days. Okay, 4 days, symbolic of Yeshua rising up on the fourth day. And by the way, he wasn't killed buried on a Friday. It was on a Wednesday, just prior to Thursday coming at the sundown in the evening. Would have started Thursday, and he was buried just before sundown at the end of Wednesday. And there's your 3 days and 3 nights. Okay, and I will prove it to you using 2 of the Gospels. I'll try to make that a priority here, since I'm talking about it now within a day or so. I just have to go review it. But there was 2 Sabbaths. There was the high day, and that was Thursday, and then they went and bought the herbs, and then there was another Sabbath on Saturday, the Shavah, and therefore they had to stop working again. And then that's why they were so late in getting to him with the herbs, because they had to honor their tradition with the Shavah, or the Sabbath. Okay, so everything in this story is an expression of meaning, and it's to be read. We're not just reading the Shavors, the words. We're reading the graphic, the imagery. There's a picture going on. It's a staged event in real time on Earth that actually occurred, and everything it's so beautiful. It's such an amazing ballet of timing and and expression in the journey that Yeshua was on. Timing is everything in Yeshua's realm. Some of the miracles and visions are of such only because of the timing. The timing is everything in many respects, okay? And he's always good to go. Our problem is ourselves. The self is the greatest enemy. That's why when we read one of the first teachings in chapter 7 in the original gospel, and then Elihu had his turn over there in Zoan, when Moray and Elishabet was, had escaped Jerusalem and were in Mitzrayim, Egypt, and Eleazar said, if you ask me, Elihu said, if you ask me what should you study, I tell you, study yourself. And when you're done studying yourself and you ask me, what should I study now? I would tell you, study yourself. Because we have to, as the scripture said, be perfect before our Redeemer, put on the perfection of light. Light is perfection. And therefore, it's all in the great mystery. And the ancient proverb was, man, know yourself. A man includes woman. You got the name man right in your title, man, man. And that literally means the judgment of man. And so that's why woman got the bad rap, because she got blamed for everything. But the truth was, it was all on Adam. It was all on him, because he was the Naga, and he knew what he was doing. And he deceived Eve, Keva, deceived her because he wanted her. And that's a story for another day. I'm not going to go there right now. So anyway, so I'll read the next line in here, and then I'll just do one a day. Some of them are big, some are very short, but it will show the problems of transliteration, and I will transliterate here, to show you these problems, okay, to help you also when you're seeing and reading it for yourself, because you'll be able to see the deeper breathings. It's deeper. We're receiving something that is an echo, an echo, an echo, and a shadow. And a shadow, is a reflection of an image, but it is not the original. And so we're in a very tough time in our modern time to have to sift through all of this. We don't even know anything about original thought, how they spoke back then. We think we're somehow sophisticated, like we really, we're better than everybody else because we're in this modern time with all this technology. And now we got 5 million common word, or 500,000 common words in English, and then we got 500,000 scientific words in English, and so we got 1 million plus words, and certainly we must be pretty sharp, when it's all pig Latin in reality, and all controlled by the priesthoods, and back then they only had about 30,000 words, and so one word did the business of a lot of different things, and so to see the breathings, how that plays out, that's the stuff that I've been talking about, and will be doing so here on the broadcast. So one more. Yeshua breathed, let one who seeks not stop seeking until he finds. And when he finds, then one will become troubled. And then when one is troubled, then one will be challenged, astonished, and then he will become enlightened. And then he will reign over the all. Okay, so you need to get a Gospel of Thomas to follow, but you'll see how I transliterate right there. You see, so it's a powerful, because when we hear the truth for the first time, it's like, wait a minute, I've been hearing this pig Latin all my life, and what's going on here? I'm confused because I thought it was like this, just like I think the classic, or here's the all-time great lie of history when Yeshua was on the, sometimes I call it the burning tree. That's a metaphor that would have been expressive of the cross. Also the curse. It's the cross is curse, clearly. And so he's on the tree, he's on the cross, he's on the burning tree. Why? Burning with pain, suffering, right? That's the burning tree. You're on fire. And so in George Lamsa, when he came to America to give us the English version of the Aramaic from the East, and he was told they couldn't do it. When he saw what our Western scriptures were saying, and especially the part where it said Yeshua when he's on the curse, and then he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? He said if they knew that in the East, they would have thought that'd be blasphemy. Here's the guy who was telling everybody, hey, I'm going to be murdered and I'm going to rise from the dead after 3 days and 3 nights. I'm coming back. I'm going to have victory of light. I'm going to show you what all people must do, to be a sacrifice and to rise from the dead. Rise from the dead of this earth. Okay, that's metaphysical. Yeshua did it literally, did it physically, but we do it in the metaphysical. Okay, it's metaphysics. It is a transformation of being from one state to another, right here, right now. And so what did they say then in the Eastern text? It said, Heloi, Heloi, lama sabachthani. And because Heloi is feminine, it's a form of the word Elohim, which yesterday I think we talked about, is Olavhaim. Olavhaim, the correct word for olive is Olav. It means the true love. It's what lights us on fire, the anointed oil, the anointing of truth, symbolic of the olive oil. And so Olavhaim, therefore, you see his mother is down there on the ground crying. She's thinking like everybody else, I thought you came here to be king. I thought you came here to save Israel or Judah. Israel's irrelevant now. It's only Judah that's left. And so she's confused. And then there's the eclipse, right? There's the darkness for 3 hours. And so that's symbolic of the sun, the light, the brightness hiding itself, the Virgin Mother. That's what Mare represented, was the virgin light. Okay, obviously the sun represents male and female, the Father, Spirit, and the Mother, creation. The light coming down is the continual fall of Keva or Eve. And so what he's really saying is, my enlightened mother, he's saying it twice. Heloi, Heloi. Heloi is more correct. Heloi. And what he just said was, my mother, my mother. So why does he say it twice? Because his mother down there on the ground is looking up at him in tears, crushed, not knowing what is just about to happen. And at the same time, the sun has been eclipsed into darkness because it's hiding its face in shame for what the world has done. And good morning, Trish. Good, welcome for joining us. Good to have you. And so the sun symbolically is in shame over what mankind has done to the one who made the entire creation. What they just did to the one who made all things, made them. And they put him up there. And so he's bringing comfort to his mother in his statement. And he's saying, my mother, my mother. And the implication is, don't cry for me, because this, and what he said was, this is my chosen destiny. I chose to be up here. This is my victory of light. Okay? And so that's why Lamso said it would have been blasphemy. The West corrupted our scriptures. That's the best prima facie evidence of that. It's a total conflict. It bugged me all my life until I heard Lamso's, tell the truth. And so that's why, I'm convinced that's why when the scribe in the Vatican, before they had the Vatican, this is prior to, we could call it the old Vatican, I'm convinced that's why the scribe put it in Aramaic. He put it in Aramaic underneath, Heloi, Heloi, lama sabachthani, because he felt he was going to be cursed forever to change out the scriptures. I think even the pagan priest felt a little intimidated by that kind of an action. So what he did, he put the lie in English or Latin, okay, and then he put the truth in Aramaic right underneath. It's the only scripture in our entire New Testament that has a Latin, or excuse me, an Aramaic subline. You see, that says it in the true essence. They're lying and telling the truth at the same time, right in our face, and nobody can get it. You see. So anyway, it's all part of the great mystery, ladies and gentlemen, and there's no end to this drama. But for us to rise from the dead in Yeshua is the greatest miracle. Okay, and that and then to receive the great breath of the wind and fire, which is also known as the Holy Spirit. So we're on the journey, and that's the good news. We are moving forward in our efforts to conquer the self and to put on the great light. And it's the Father's will. It's not the Father's will that anybody perish, but that all people would be redeemed. It's the intention of creation, but the great irony is that it is a world of darkness. It is a a place where, in other words, like, okay, I don't have any gold, and what he's doing is refining people to make gold. Gold is the most precious substance on the planet, and look what people do to get the gold, and like, the gold rushes and how people suffered and died in those events, or were enslaved to dig the mines, what have you. So we have to be like that precious gold. And that's why it says many seek to enter in, but only few are saved. We have to recognize that reality of this anomaly called planet Earth. Okay, it's like, we see what people are like, right? They actually hate the one that made them. They hate them. The Freemasons do. They're in the ultimate card trick there ever was. Claiming to be the light, and said you can't join Freemasonry unless you believe in God, whatever that means. Believe in God? You mean the Pope? I'm not sure what you're talking about. But you know what I'm saying. So they want you already to be in the trap of religion, because they know that you're not going to be a free thinker, and that therefore, because you're already following religion, you must be stupid, and therefore you'll be an easy mind control victim when they need to put the 33rd degree on you and say, don't forget you took the blood oath and you got to do what we tell you to do, or we'll make life miserable for you, And so it's just an amazing world, ladies and gentlemen, to realize what we have here. It's just, I can't get over it. Give me another planet, But now they've destroyed our world, and the joke is on them. Their families are finished. Their lives in this world are finished. And they did it. They did it, The ones that claim to be illuminated, the Illuminazis, the mother sons of darkness. That's what Masonic means, mother sons of darkness, and they really are. They really are. And the innocent people, the good people like us, then by the miracle of the grace of the Father, we have to pull it together. We've got to figure it out. It's in a mystery, and only by digging the field, by plowing, and working at it, and dedicating every moment of our time to it. There's no time for anything else. Okay? He says you must love me with all your heart, all your mind, all your body, all your soul. Every ounce of energy you ever had has to be dedicated to this cause, or the likelihood is you're not going to make it, because you're not going to stumble in by accident. It don't happen that way. It's with definiteness of purpose and forethought and positive action continually, and doing all of these things, ladies and gentlemen. Lydia, I know it's troubling at times to realize what we're up against, isn't it? I know. So hang in there, okay? Because what it said was that when you receive the great breath of the wind and fire, for all of the all of the sorrow, all of the pain, all the suffering you ever went through will not matter, for the joy that you will receive when he breathes his great breath of the wind and fire in you, okay? That there's a total transformation, and all those tears will be gone. It's like it never happened, for the joy that you'll receive. And that's an experience that you have right here, okay? And but people aren't ready for it, because they're still stuck in, needing milk, as Paul put it so well. They need milk because they're not ready to eat the meat. They're not ready because they've been, on the merry-go-round of religion that has been adulterated. That's called the serpent's wood. In Revelations, where it talked about wormwood, it's not wormwood. Worm is a serpent. That's a code word for serpent. They tricked us in the transliteration, and it's the serpent's wood, and that's the dark serpent. You see, the serpent's wood is the false cross of religion, and that wherever, what did it say? That whatever it touches becomes corrupted, right? Whatever it touches becomes corrupted, and that's the serpent's wood, because it's about a pure church. The body of the Mashiach is pure. And therefore, the only way we can be in his body universal is by being pure as well. But in the process, we're cleaning up our act. We're recognizing, oh yeah, I've got to change this. I got to get rid of that. I've got to, put on this. I've got to be that. And then ultimately, we are transformed. It's an alchemy. We identify with the one above, and therefore we want to be like him. And so we put on the nature consciously, like he says, pray for your enemies. Give me a break. Pray for my enemies. Shouldn't we wish them killed? But no, we're supposed to pray for them and that they could wake up and give them a glass of water if they're thirsty, or pick them up when they fall down and, brush them off and say, sorry you fell down. I hope you figure things out before it's too late. Okay. But so the things that are contrary, right? Like fasting, go without food. Right? Oh, go without food. Wait a minute, what? And but that's to deny the existence in the world. That's to crush the serpent. The serpent is the body. We got to tame the serpent, you see. And so the fasting then serves multiple purposes. Everybody has to decide, whether it's one meal or 2 meals or 3 days or whatever they want to do. I used to do it when I was young and very strong for 10, 12, 14 days. And that's when I received my greatest revelations. That's when it was happening. So much of the initiation of my awakening came at those times. Just like reading the book of Enoch and then the book of Revelations. And when I was fasting for about 12 or 14 days, all of a sudden I realized that, wait a minute, the symbolism in the book of Enoch is virtually identical to the symbolism in Revelations. And I realized they were like two halves of a coin that come together and create the whole coin. And so the symbols of the book of Enoch were a reflection on the symbols within Revelations. And you see, and so by seeing that, then it helped me to better be able to interpret the symbol, to interpret it. And I know I'm going to have to do a read on Enoch just to share that symbolism with you, because there's no time anymore, to hardly figure it out. I know Yeshua wants me to just put it on the table for you so that you can see and read it for yourself. Okay. So I'm in the book of symbolism right now. I was going to do my read out of there in the alphabet. I go through the alphabet every 26 days and start over reading the next definition in the linear alphabet. So this is the Dictionary of Symbols by Serlat out of Spain. It was translated into English, the hooking tongue, the serpent tongue, English, and it's out of the Philosophical Library. If you ever want to get a copy, it's a very good one. And the guy was a Jesuit adjutant, so he knows stuff if he's a Jesuit adjutant. And thank you, Lou and Shelley, for your comments there, Ninja. And it's great to know people really are getting it and following along. For me, it's life. I felt so dead prior to being able to share with anybody just a couple of months ago, and so I know, and I'm not smart enough to figure this stuff out. All right, that it's Yeshua who gives the light. Okay, he's the light. He gives it, and he did it to somebody who's unqualified, unworthy, and I've been my worst enemy all my life. Okay, thanks to what my parents did to me. Not that they did anything to me, but it's what they didn't do for me, and to nurture me and love me the way parents are supposed to be. I was just a free-range chicken, did what I wanted to do, But not having parents to identify with allowed me then to identify with the invisible, with the great spirit of light. You see, that was beautiful. My elder brother, Yeshua, when I read the gospel the first time at age 16, I cried at the end. I couldn't believe they would murder this guy, What a wicked world, right? What a wicked world. They're murdering people left and right. They can't kill enough people. They're never satisfied. Ritually sacrificing babies, abusing them. Unreal. And every 3 times a day when I have my dinner or lunch, I ask the Father to deliver those little ones from those pedophile rings and those ritual sacrifices that they need these babies for. More babies are disappearing, and probably than ever before at any time right now. Now, don't let those babies out of your sight, ladies and gentlemen. Keep those babies close by, because they want them. They want them. Okay, so so when I read this morning, I was in the L section and it was lotus, and I realized that, and then it referred to the rose. And when I saw, it was referring to the rose and the lotus, then I said, everybody's been hearing about the lotus, with Egyptian culture and everything. And so and the rose as well. And we know about Rosicrucian. So, these are people that have an effect on us, but the rose is not evil by itself, nor the lotus, but it tells a story. And so we've got to be able to interpret all symbol. Everything's relevant. Okay. So lotus, okay, there is a certain, let me just take a sip, pace myself here, and want to welcome any new listeners on the stream. You are tuned in right here to the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network, and I am your host, Desert Owl, a metaphor, a bird who sees in the night. I am an owl. I'm not like an owl. I am an owl, okay, because I can see. And that's the bottom line. We all have to be owls in the metaphor. That is why the occult and the priesthood call themselves owls. It's not just priesthood, it's priesthood. The D and the T are twins, and they're interchangeable. Priesthoods as well, not just priesthoods. Okay? Excuse me. So here we go. Lotus. There is a certain parallel between the symbolism of the lotus and of the rose in Western culture. In Mitzrayim, Egypt, the lotus symbolizes nascent life, or first appearance. Sonia regards it as a natural symbol for all forms of evolution. In the Middle Ages, it was equated with the mystic center and consequently with the heart. And so we're going to see what they saw in it. We're getting a picture of how they thought. And this is how we can better see the ancient past, by comprehending how other people saw things. Excuse me. As an artistic creation, it is related to the mandala. And we talked about the mandala the other day, the circle with a triangle and a square, an expression of life. Its significance varying according to the number of its petals. The 8-petaled lotus is considered in India as the center where Brahm dwells. And therefore, because I hear that, I know it means it's also a symbol of the sun, because that in the metaphor is where Brahm dwells. Thank you, Shelley. All right. Brahm dwells as the visible manifestation of his occult activity. Okay, so it's acknowledging, though, that the Brahmin priesthood are in an occult activity. That's rather interesting word to use there. The figure 8 is like the mandorla of Romanesque art, signifying the intersection of the earth. 4, or square, that is what we would call the 4 directions, with heaven, the circle. Well, you see here, now here's the evidence of the code. As you know, I've been telling you that heaven is a code for either sky, the cosmos, or the sun. And here it says heaven, but it's got in parentheses the circle. He knows what it means. He didn't want to give us the real word. They don't want to reveal the truth here. And so it is the circle. What is the circle? Well, it's the sun. That's the primary circle. It's the sun. It's the Ouroboros eating its tail, the serpent eating its tail. The 1,000-petaled lotus symbolizes the final revelation, of course, because 1,000 is Tao Zen. Tao is the end and the fulfillment, the T, and that's what Yeshua was on the cross. He was at the end of the story of creation, the final element of creation now happening when he says it is finished. And so it's at the Tao Zen. Tao is at the end, which is then the beginning, and then at the highest apex, the Zen. Zen is the highest without number. Zen is synonymous with the word sand on the beach. You want to go count all that sand? Tell me how much sand is there? That's Zen. It's without number. Okay, also related to the vol, as in the volume. That's the love, right? The Yah love. Thanks to Yah love being here, and with that wonderful title. And so the 1,000-petal lotus symbolizes the final revelation in the center, there is usually a triangle inside, and the triangle is the great emptiness, symbolic of formlessness. Rene Guénon has examined the the lotus symbol at great length, observing that the potentialities of being are realized by means of an activity which is always internal. This is the growth of the Father. This is the growth of Father Gratre. I don't know who Father Gratre is. That's in parentheses here. Since it is exercised from the center of each plane. Furthermore, from the metaphysical, well, the three is primary. In fact, talking about that triangle, I had this written down when we got to the piracy of words. The tray, the tree, and the three. Okay, because I knew that the word tree and three were the same word, and it took me like almost 40 years to finally get it. Okay, and Hans, good to have you out there in Ireland. And I finally could see it after all these years that the word three and tree, and in the Indo-Germanic, in the original, it is tray, T-R-A-Y. So the three, when we hear about the triangle, it's specifically referring to sun, earth, and moon. Sun, earth, and moon, because you have to have the three to create life. And so that's the triangle, okay? Sun, earth, and moon. The earth is the bridal chamber where sun and moon are making love and bringing forth life. You have to have a sun, have to have a moon to have life on earth. Not like David Icke said that aliens made the moon. Give me a break. That tells you where he's from, David Rockefeller. Okay, the earth and the moon and the sun are all made by Yahweh. No aliens involved. Sorry to disappoint anybody, but so Trey, therefore, is the original word for three and tree. Okay, and so what is the tree? The tree is the three, the sun, earth, and moon. There's your triangle again, and they are on the tray. So when you have a feast or party, somebody comes in with the tray, right? Everything is on the tray. So the tray is the life that is being offered in the three, in the tray, in the tree of life, the tree of knowledge, and it's all one. Okay, we got the picture. There's two different trees. It's the same tree. The tree of knowledge leads us to the root of life. The tree above ground is the visible tree of knowledge. Below ground, in the root system, in the mystery, is the reflection. In the mystery hiding, and that is the root, the tree of life. The root. Take us back to the primordial root from where it all begins. Okay, and so continuing here, the potentialities being realized. Okay, so since it is exercised from the center of each plane, furthermore, the metaphysical point of view, it is impossible for external action to be brought to bear upon the total being, for such action is possible only on a relative and a particular plane. This realization of potentialities is depicted in various symbolisms as the unfolding of a flower on the surface of the waters. Generally, in Oriental traditions, it is a lotus and a rose, or lis in the West. So the rose, okay? And that's why the Rosicrucians, unlike in Mitzrayim, they like the lotus. Then we have an occult society in the Western, and they embrace the rose, okay? And the rose is a beautiful flower. It's something we would all want, right? And then it's all dressed up in thorns. Look out, don't prick yourself, right? Because it's got thorns. So beauty wrapped up with a trigger at the bottom, right? And so how do we climb the rose when it's all dressed up in thorns, right? And so that's part of the metaphor of life, because there's a sting of death always associated with the beauty, right? The woman knows about that, and life itself has the sting of death, and yet it seems so beautiful, and yet it is not at the same time, right? It's a lousy, rotten, stinking world, and of psychopaths and murderers and baby rapers, and we've so that's the nature of the duality. So we know that this is not our world. It can't be. There's a better world, but yet we find it right here, right now. Okay, so continuing on, blah, blah, blah. Where we got here? Okay, so and the lotus in the list in the West. There is a further relationship between these flowers and the circumference as a symbol of the manifest world. Okay, symbol of the manifest world, as well as with the cosmic wheel. This and that would be the mandala is a cosmic wheel. This and it's interesting that it's identical, to the steering wheel on the ship. That's the mandala right there, showing that India is behind running the world. For the ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood, this symbol finds other forms of expression in many different ways, but always related to the symbolism of numbers. That is, depending upon the number of petals. From the remotest days of antiquity, the lotus was the unanimous choice of the Chinese, the Japanese, the Hindus, the Mitzrayim Egyptians, and the Aryans. Well, there they are, right there, the Aryans. How about that? Maybe that's because they were the Mitzrayim. That's most likely true. Maybe they were. That's because they were the Hindus. At least the priesthood that sold out, the fallen Vekoresh, the Watchers. The lotus flower growing out of the navel of Vishnu symbolizes the universe growing out of the central sun. There you go. They call that right there, right near your belly button, above your belly button, the solar plexus, right? The solar plexus. Interesting. The central point, or the unmoved mover. It is the attribute of many deities. In lotus symbolism, the idea of emanation and of realization predominated over that of the hidden center, which is a Western accretion. And so that's the lotus right there. Okay, and so I'm still, after reading these dictionaries for the better part of 35 years at least, maybe a little more, I'm still not finished with them. I'm still going through the alphabet. I got 2 of them. I rotate every day because I don't want to miss the symbol. I want to see and read it for myself. Ugh. Okay, so let me put that there. And now, so we're going to do a book review now in Philo, and I'm trying to work out my schedule, and I'm having difficulty getting to my own workout program, and so I'm thinking that I'm just going to be doing the morning broadcast perhaps for now on, at least temporarily, until I can get my rhythm and my workout. I got some nutritionals coming in, and hoping that'll give me some additional strength to deal with everything. Once you get over 60, it's like, okay, yeah, you got to work at everything, and so I'm most likely not going to be doing the evening broadcast for a temporary period of time. I'm not sure how long. I love doing the 2 a day, and therefore, I'd like to just get back to it as soon as possible. So, and I thank everybody for their wonderful prayers out there. I'm having, wonderful revelations, and also just seems like things are coming together in a very unique way in my time. I can see the end of the road here and getting to a better place to live very soon, hopefully, because of I'm obviously not wanted in this town, and I'm targeted. So so thank you for your prayers, and I've got and I got to stay strong physically. So I've got I love doing this 2 a day, but at the same time I'm not doing everything I've got to do. Okay, so I apologize for that for anybody that was looking for the evening broadcast. But we'll make lemonade out of lemons no matter what. Okay, so in Philo, we're still on the creation, the part on the creation, and I see where they took away some script, and they took away, and they've done this with others. In fact, this version of Philo is a compilation of 2 different books, 2 different translations. One had some, the other had some, and showing that the Balai Suts had adulterated, taken out text from Philo because they don't want any of the truth getting out. And thank you, Diane, so much. Love you too, and all of you. And Ninja, you're saying in the movies they use the lotus to hypnotize. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, in fact, the lotus, I think it's been alluded to the fact that it may be a hallucinogen as well when it's handled in a certain way. So I don't know enough about that. Okay, but we're on the volcano, and so I see where they've adulterated this, so I know where to skip over to continue this thought here. And this is how they corrupted our scriptures, okay? Because all of creation is already here. The water, the oceans are here. And then it says that in the King James that, and then there was a mist. There was a mist in the garden. But yet in Philo and in other translations, it says fountain. And so I looked up fountain in the Oxford, the big dictionary, okay, the Oxford. And so, thank you, Teresa. And so fountain is not water, okay? A fountain is a creation that brings something forth like water, but it can also bring something else forward, a fountain, okay? And so that is the essence of the volcano. It is a fountain that brings forth, right? So we have to get the picture, because isn't it interesting that in the Revelations, in the next to the last chapter, it says that those who are not worthy go back into the lake that burns with the lake of fire that has brimstone. Brimstone is is sulfur. That's what you find around a volcano. So the lake that burns with fire is a volcano. You see? So at the end of the book, there's a volcano. And what I'm pointing out to you, at the beginning of a book, there's a volcano. Why? Because we were made from the fiery magma, not red dirt. I always thought that was strange. They said we were made from red dirt. Okay, what red dirt you talking about? You know, and because I'm not dirt, number one, and most dirt is not red. We know that iron, dirt with iron in it has the rust color, like in New Mexico and that type of thing. But the volcanoes at the end, it's saying we're going to go back into it. We're going to go back to where we came from, into the volcano. So if we are going back to the volcano, then it makes sense that we came out of the volcano. And good, Ninja, good for you. I'm good, glad it will be good. Very good. So here we are, okay, and we're in what number is this? I hate these Roman numerals. I think we're in 55, chapter 55. It's also code number 131 in Philo, on the Book of Creation. And then preserving the natural order, preserving the natural order of things, and having a regard to the connection between what comes afterwards and what has gone before. He says, and a fountain went up from the earth. Okay, so a fountain went up from the earth. Get the picture. It's a buildup of the earth, and it covered the entire face of the earth, and that's in Genesis. Okay. And for other philosophers affirm, now I'm going to jump from here, because this is where we're missing part, and I jump over here and or down here, down further, and it says that the earth may be held together by sweet qualities of water and of change. So it's alluding to the fact that even though the earth is dry, still we have water that keeps it moist, right? And therefore there's a mix between land and water, springs, rivers, snow, all of that stuff, rain, keeping the earth nourished and moist. Otherwise, it'd be pretty dusty, wouldn't it? And so, and that the earth is held together by the sweet qualities of water, as by a chain of events, the water acting in the manner of a glue. For if the earth were left entirely dry, so that no moisture arose and penetrated through the surfaces, rising to the surface periodically in various directions, it would be split. But now it is held together, and we see it being split by that solar radiation effect that's occurring on the earth. Right now, the earth is being affected by the sun, right? We see the earth breaking up because that solar radiation is penetrating the earth. It's killing all plant life, all animals, therefore all probiotic matter on the earth. And, so it's something really unusual going on, and now the earth is being split. But now it is held together and remains lasting, partly by the force of the wind which unites it, and partly because of the moisture, and does not allow it to become dry, totally dry, and so to be broken up into larger and smaller fragments. This is one reason, and we must also mention another, which is aimed at the truth like an arrow at a mark. It is not the nature of anything upon earth to exist without a moist essence. And this is indicated by the throwing of seed. Excuse me. The throwing of seed, which is either moist as the seed, either moist as the seed of animals, or else does not shoot up without moisture. And I also need to recover my voice at the night as well. I think that'll help me out. Or else does not shoot up without moisture. Such as the seeds of plants, from which it is evident that it follows that aforesaid moist essence must be a portion of the earth. And I'm going to just take some C60 here. Hang on. I found out that C60, when I put it under my tongue, it actually helps my voice right away. I can't get over it. That stuff's really good. And must be a portion of the earth which produces everything. Just as the flux of the catamenia, and that's the period, is a part of the woman. Okay? For by men who are learned in natural philosophy, this also is said to be the corporal essence of children. Okay, they're talking about the blood flow naturally. And, nor is it what we are about to say inconsistent with what has been said. And so you see, so it's creating the illusion. Remember, I just read about symbols last night in my metaphorical story, and I was talking about man and woman, the cosmic woman. And so the woman bringing forth the blood, every period is therefore the illusion here is that symbolic to Mother Earth bringing forth life as well through the fiery volcano, the magma. You see, it's microcosm, macrocosm. One's a reflection of the other one. As pointed out as well last night, that the breast was symbolic also of the volcano. Let me mute out for a minute. Hang on. All right, I think that helped. So, where was that here? Okay, said to be the corporal essence of children. Nor is it what we are about to say inconsistent with what has been said, for nature has bestowed upon every mother, as a most indisposable part of her conformation, the breast, as well gushing forth like the fountains. There's your volcanoes, gushing forth like fountains. So the fountain is the breast itself, not what comes forth, having in this manner provided abundant food for the child that is to be born. And then in my metaphor yesterday, I said, so that the child turning back to nurse upon its mother's breast as the first thing that it does is a symbolic expression of what we are to do by looking back, turning around, and seeing that we came from the breast of the mother. That's the first thing a baby does, and that's where we need to go to look back at where we come from and how we got here. And it's not being conveyed, you see. That's why in the King James it says, and there was a mist. And I looked up mist in the Oxford Dictionary, and in there it talked about mystery. The mist is the mystery, the cloud that they created that we can't see through. You see, that's the code of the priesthood, ladies and gentlemen. We have to see and read this for ourselves. And the earth as well, as it seems to be, is a mother, from which consideration it occurred to the early ages to call her Demetra, combining the names of mother, which is meter, and earth, as in Gi or D, for it is not the earth which initiates the woman, as Plato has said. See, he even read Plato. I talked about how they read all the other cultural writings at that day. That was the technology, just like you watch different channels at times, or did, right? But the woman has imitated the earth, which the race of poets has been accustomed with truth to call the mother of all things. That's exactly what Adam said when he turned around, he woke up, and who was there? There's Kaiva right there in front of him. He says, I will call you Kaiva. You are the mother of all living. There it is right here. The mother of all things. Because mother is matter. Mother is nature. And the fruit bearer and the giver of all things. Yes, she provides for our sustenance. She does the will of the Father, you see. Since she is at the same time the cause of the generations and the durability of all things, an endless resource to the animals and plants. Rightly, therefore, did nature bestow on the earth, as the eldest and most fertile of mothers, streams and rivers and volcanoes like breasts, in order that the plants might be watered and nurtured, and that all living things might have an abundant supply of nutrients and drink. After this, Moshe'el breathes that Olofheim, he breathed into the face of Hadam the breath of life. That was Yahweh, who is the great Olofheim. And by this expression, he shows most clearly that there is a vast difference between man as generated now and the first man who was made according to the perfect image of Yahweh, who is the great Olofheim. For man as formed now is perceptible to the external senses. So the perfect man is the first atom, A-T-O-M, okay? And then Adam, A-D-A-M, is a reflection of Yeshua, and Adam had in him perfection, but he walked away from that perfection of his own creation and became self-interested. He was looking for the appetite of pleasure with his new woman. She compelled him, and he deceived her. He was the Naga. Go look up snake or serpent in the Strong's Concordance. It doesn't say snake or serpent. It says Naga. That's the Nagash. That's the one who came down. He came down from the Eden, which is the atom, which is the throne of the sun, where he was with Yeshua making all things. Okay? He was a spirit at that time. And he's still a spirit, but he's now in a grave, in a body that's telling him to do stuff that he shouldn't, be immediately compelled to do without communicating with the one who made all things. Okay? He was told, if you do this thing, you shall die. And they died spiritually, not physically. They didn't die till 1,000 years later, but they died spiritually right out the gate. That's why they were hiding in the bushes, covering their private parts, when Yeshua was walking through the garden saying, Hadam, Keva, where are you? What's going on here? And they said, well, we're hiding. Why are you hiding? Because we figured out we were naked. Oh, you did? What happened? So, and of course, nobody gets the story. They don't get the picture. Continuing here. For man as formed is now perceptible to the external senses, partaking of qualities consisting of body and soul, man or woman by nature mortar. Okay? But man made according to the image of Yahweh, who is the great Olofheim, was an idea or a genus or a seal, perceptible only by the intellect, incorporeal, neither male nor female, imperishable by nature, imperishable. But he asserts that the formation of the individual man, perceptible by the external senses, is a composition of earthly substance and divine spirit, divine breath, for that the body was created by the Creator, taking a lump of fiery magma, because here, they changed it. They say lump of clay, but it wasn't. Okay, so now it's dirt, then it's clay. No, it's fiery magma. Even in Native American tradition, they called the first man the blood clot boy. Okay, and that was their tradition as well. and fashion the human form out of it, taking the fiery magma and fashion the human form out of it. But that the soul proceeds from no created thing at all, the soul from no created thing at all, but from the Father, the great Father and ruler of all things. For when he uses the expression, he breathed into, and so on, he means nothing else other than the divine breath proceeding from that happy is not the right word, the enlightened and baruch, endowed and enlightened nature, sent to take up its habitation here on earth for the advantage of our race, for the advantage, okay, for all other races that were already here. We're talking about the Aryan in particular, that was supposed to bring truth and light to the rest of mankind, in order that even if man is mortal according to that portion of him which is visible, he may at all events be immortal according to that portion which is invisible. And for this reason, one may properly say that man is on the boundaries of a better and an immortal nature, partaking of each as far as it is necessary for him, and that he was born at the same time both mortal and immortal, mortal as to his body, but more immortal as to his intellect, the throne of his own son in his mind, ladies and gentlemen. And to cap it off here, but the original blood of the earth, the original man, he who was created out of the magma, the primeval founder of all our race, appears to me to have been most excellent in both particulars. There he goes, talking about Hadam, most excellent in both particulars, in both soul and body, until he fell, and to have been very far superior, very far, because this is where the knowledge of the watchers came from on how to build the great monuments we can't build today, and also the anti-gravity vimanas that flew all over the world while they're building their pyramid civilizations. Get it? He is to have been far superior to all of the men of subsequent ages. Superior here. This is a smoking gun. I can't get over it. I read this. I didn't even highlight it. Hang on a minute. Wow. To have been very far superior, you got to figure they lived to be 1,000 years old. Get 1,000 of them together, you got 1,000,000 years worth of knowledge. There's nothing they couldn't do. Nothing. And they created all the great civilizations where everybody today is scratching their head saying, I don't know, but it looks like, a group of people came on the scene all at one time and just built all these great pyramid civilizations that we can't even begin to figure out, let alone build ourselves. Can't even lift the block. Can't even lift the block. How'd they cut it? And that's what this is. Oh, geez, I can't get over this. This is perfect. You see, this is my second witness here, okay, what I've been saying all along here, friends, okay? It's the great mystery. We've been lied to. We just simply been lied to about how it all began. And yet we still have the written record. They corrupted it. They twisted it, but we can still get it back. Good morning, Jenny. I don't think I said hello yet. Good morning. Good to have you. I hope you're getting an earful here. And one may form a conjecture of the perfection of his bodily beauty from three considerations, and beauty, may not be the right word, but the conjecture of his bodily form. In other words, this Aryan that was blonde hair, blue-eyed, white skin, taller than most, come here to bring truth to mankind, and instead he decided he'd rather enslave them, other than Enoch and Noah and Shem and Methuselah, but they all abandoned ship and went down and mated with the children of Cain, and because they decided they'd rather conquer the world. Continuing. Okay, let me try this again. And one may form a conjecture of the perfection of his bodily form from three considerations. The first of which is this: when the earth was now but lately formed by its separation from the abundant quantity of water which was called the sea, it happened that the materials out of which the things just created were formed were unmixed, uncorrupted, and pure, and the things made from the material were naturally free from all imperfection. They were free from imperfection. Okay? So therefore, it means they were made perfect. Okay. The second consideration is that it is not likely that Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, made this figure in the present form of a man working with the most sublime care after he had taken the clay from any chance portion of the earth, not the clay, but the magma from any chance portion of the earth, but that he selected carefully the most excellent, what would be the most excellent, about like Hawaii, right? In Hawaii, they got the most fertile ground, right? Because the magma is the fertilizer, the most powerful fertilizer of ground. In fact, I have a friend that just moved to the Big Island. He said, Desert, you can drop a seed in any crack on the ground, and that seed is going to grow like you won't believe. It's all super fertile soil, okay? He don't even have to dig a garden. He just drops the seeds in the cracks, and everything starts growing, okay? So continuing on here, the most excellent magma of the earth, the pure material, choosing the finest, most carefully sifted portion. Such was especially fit for the formation of the work which he had in hand. There you go. Because we're made of the fiery minerals and salts of the earth, not dirt, but the minerals and salts. The complexity, even in there is also the gold and the silver and all the other metals, that they're all found in the veins of ancient volcanoes. That's why they go digging for gold, that they're finding a vein of a volcano. That's where it comes from, you see. That's where those veins come from. And we came from there, and we are to be gold. Okay, so continuing here, was especially formation of the work which he had in hand, which was an abode or a sacred temple. That's what he wanted to create, a sacred temple for a reasonable soul, calling it a temple right there. A sacred temple for a reasonable soul, which was being made in the image of which he was about to carry in his heart, being most like Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, looking, in other words, we are made in his image. It says God-like looking of images, okay? It's a rough one to transliterate, but God-like looking of images, okay? We are a reflection of the divine. That's why in ancient culture, like in Japan and other parts of, in the East in particular, they all, when they greet each other, they put their hands together and they bow before each other, because that's the only way we will ever greet the physical form of the one who made all things, because he's spirit. And so when we see each other, we see the reflection of the divine hand. Okay, the travain hand, that's the tray that brings us all life. The third consideration is one which admits no comparison with those which have been already mentioned, namely this: the Creator was good both in other respects and also in knowledge, so that every one of the parts of the body was separately the number which were suited to it, and was also accurately completed in the admirable adaptation to the share in the universe, of which it was to partake, and that we were adapted, right? And that he had endowed it with fair properties. He clothed it with beauty of flesh and embellished it with an exquisite complexion, wishing as far as was possible that man should appear the most beautiful of all creation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a break at this point, and I think you just got the picture. We just read from Philo. That's why Philo is so important. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, it's the best kept secret. It's essential for enlightenment, knowing who you are, where you are, when you are, and why you are. You want to talk numbers? You want to talk metaphysics? You want to talk to history? It's all right here. Wisdom? It's all right here in the book of Philo. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Glad you tuned in. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you. Thank you for your comments. I haven't been able to really look at those comments until just now, and so thank you, Lou, and thank you, Ninja, everybody, for your interaction. I love this interactive radio. This is a totally new phenomena for me, and it makes it so much more special. I'm not here to try to get a big following of listeners or anything of that sort. It'd be great to help a lot of people out, but I feel more kinship with just with this wonderful group of people right here. If it never got any bigger, it wouldn't matter to me, because you show, all of you show that you care, that you really you know the value of life, and that it's short, and that we have a lot of work to do in order to overcome this world, that it's a deceiver, and then knowing the great axiom that many people seek to enter in, but it is few. It is few that are going to make it, ladies and gentlemen. Why? You can see how, like, I got to sift through these burning swords, and thank you, y'all love, as well, all of you, Ninja. So it's an amazing enigma that we were born into. I didn't ask to be here. Did you ask to be here? I didn't. We're put here, and we're just going to have to deal with it, right? And that's the great the great enigma, that we're brought here. We didn't volunteer. To my knowledge, I don't remember volunteering for anything. And yet I ended up crash landing here, and for some reason, Yeshua, he put me at a place called 98 Right Place for my first 5 years. That was the address, 98 Right Place in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And then when I end up on a concrete slab looking up at a concrete ceiling, I find out it's 1998. And when I look back at the first place I lived, oh, okay, 98 Right Place. Oh, I'm supposed to be here, Father. Okay, this is my test. Oh, geez, all right. And I had to deal with persecution of an enormous nature 20 years ago. I fell victim to a government sting operation, forced to defend somebody's life. And they framed me with the crime that they committed, And so the Father was with me all the way. And it's not because, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to have the greater insight or the knowledge. I was never worthy of it. It was that he touched me. He touched me because he has to use somebody. In other words, to speak to everybody else, right? Like we see in the Old Covenant stories, he takes one guy, Moses, right? Moses. Well, you want to hear another enigma? The parent root for Moses is MSH. Well, guess what? My three initials for my legal name is MSH. Okay? MSH. Okay? So it's a parallel. It's a type. It's a mark. He put the mark on me, saying, I'm going to use you whether you like it or not, buddy. So you're going to have to figure it out. That's, the simple way of putting it. But it's, like, I can't, I always like, wonder what it's like to hear this stuff. I have no idea, because I'm so immersed in it. I always wonder how are people receiving it, and so it's been, finally, at this point in my life, I can really get it out. Before I was still learning. I'm still learning, but a lot of the very important discoveries just came within the last few years. I mean, the pieces of the puzzle. It is a puzzle. Yeshua is great. Yeshua is absolutely fantastic in his love for us. He was willing to even take on a pagan name, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the one that introduced me to Yeshua Moshe Yanke, or correctly, Yeshua Vahe Moshe Yanke. You see how primitive that sounds? That makes sense. We're talking about a primitive culture. We're talking about going back 10,000 years, give or take, depending upon how the illusion works. And we don't speak anything like they spoke back then. But yet we have the root. We have the parent root to go back if we can know the parent root. And so that's what Yeshua, I climbed that mountain. When I climbed the mountain, I came down, boom, everything changed. I was hoping for lightning to strike up there. I was looking for a miracle, and I was a bit disappointed that nothing fantastic happened when I climbed to the top of the mountain. But little did I know that I was touched. I was anointed, and then within the week, I start being able to see words, and I learn about the truth in religion, that it's about living pure and free from sin, that he came to transform us into a new creation, not like the old world, not like the corruption, but incorrupted, incorruptible. Okay, free will. It's called free will, right? You have a choice to be corrupted, or you have a choice to be incorrupted, from imperfection into perfection, doing all things pleasing to the Father, having pure thoughts and pure actions, right? So, so it's like, religion is almost there, but they're denying the power. They're denying the power to be set free, to be transformed, because they just love the money, honey. Keep bringing that money on. That's all they want. That's why they'll never tell you the truth, because they got everybody under the spell. Under the spell. Hypno, pipto, magico, pagico. Just waving their hands around on the stage. Walking back and forth real fast while they're feeding you their papal bull, and everybody's just nodding their head saying amen under the spell, because that's classic hypnosis. Moving your hands around, walking back and forth on the stage, saying, "Can you give me an amen? Give me an amen. Come on." That's hypnosis, ladies and gentlemen. It's classic hypnosis, and you have to study it to know that. I've been a student of hypnosis, okay, and mind control, so I know it. I had a chief of police one day send me a DVD. He was listening to my programs. He sent me a DVD of the Seventh Day, was it Seventh Day Adventist or one of those, and he says, "Hey, Desert, check out my church." And so, okay, so I check out the church. Okay, Hans, good to have you, brother. Nice having new friends stop by and from around the world. But anyway, so I couldn't believe that this chief of police who knew about the New World Order, he was from a small town, not a big city, and he was wondering. He had called me to find out what he thinks is going to happen. He wanted to know my spin on how things were going to come down, and then he was very nice to send me DVD of his church. He was trying to convert me into Seventh-day Adventism, I guess. And so when I saw it, the guy's walking back and forth on stage, doing the hypnosis thing, and I'm thinking, here's the chief of police who knows the score. He's not dumb. He's smart. He's a good guy, and at the same time, he's in a false tradition. It just shows that we can't know everything. That every time, like when I went to these freedom movements and these patriot meetings, there was so many people there, and then you had the really great guy. There was like one or two really great guys. Then you had a bunch of followers who were good people, but they didn't really know a whole lot. And then you had the idiots, and then you had the double agents. The Freemason was always there, and so it's ironic that we have to practically become expert in every area. I'm not sure where I'm going with that, but that we have to literally, or when they woke up to the New World Order, they woke up to the end of the world scenario that's occurring, and then therefore they think now that they know that they got the picture, but they don't have the picture yet. Even when we think we woke up, it may be that we haven't woke up yet. You see, there's several layers to the onion that we got to peel away and go through. It's a constant peeling away. And what happens when you're peeling an onion? You want to cry, right? You're constantly peeling and crying and wondering, where's it going to end, And then finally you get to the center. You get to the core. And when you get to the core, it's all about your eternal being. And you find out that the earth is irrelevant. The earth was here temporary. It was a shop. They opened shop. Yahweh opened shop. He's planted a garden. We are the produce of the garden, and if we're not ripe, if we're not good, he's not picking us. We're going to stay there on the vine, and we're going to rot. You see? So it's just waking up to our true nature, that we are spiritual beings, and we are wrapped in an illusion of flesh. Okay, so let me get back to it here. You can tell I get excited about all this, don't you? Okay. I'm excited to share with people who have good hearts and good minds that love life. I can see all of you You're just most of you are sky watchers, and that's what brought us all together, was looking up, right? Looking up at the sky. I think that's very symbolic metaphor. Okay, so I'm going to do just a page or two of the piracy of words and the words they killed us with, and then we'll be on the history of the church. Okay, winding down here. Mother Justice with a blindfold on. Mother Justice with a blindfold on. Yeah, I love that woman. She's going to dole out my pay, and she's wearing a blindfold. I don't think that's going to happen. I think she needs a seeing eye dog, actually. She has many of them called priesthoods. Yeah, that's right. She's got many seeing eye dogs, the priests and Freemasons, among others. That's blind justice. That's Lucifer. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean. So are we, Lydia. I forgot what I already said. So, but thank you for your comment. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're all in this together, aren't we? And we're gonna have to make lemonade out of the lemons that they gave us. Bottom line, and we can do that. Everything's in our favor. The beauty behind Yeshua is everything is in our favor when we're willing to turn towards Him and surrender. Hey, Barb, good to have you. Okay, and so we're on monetize. Okay, and one Munai ties, Presto Magico, hypnosis. C, money, mind control, cooking, the books, using your unlimited credit, and the power of the pen. Moral, that's where they want more and all, okay? You don't want morals, you want ethics. And so moral, I'm one, imitation, Middle English. Two, they want more and they want it all. See, Lucifer tries to imitate the light, but she can't do it. Morals and dogma. Morals, all death. Two, and even Paul Bunyan, who wrote the book Pilgrim's Progress. He said that in there, one of the wrong roads to go down was the road of morals, right in Pilgrim's Progress. The wrong road was the road of morals. So they knew something back then about that word, because they knew that the king wanted more and he wanted all. He wanted more, he wanted everything. Okay, give me more, give me all, and you get nothing in the end. Okay, that's not like with Yeshua. He says he wants to give us all. He said, here's the opposite. Here's a beautiful contrast. He wants to give us all. You're right. He wants to give us all. He says, "Oh, you were faithful with one city, right? You were faithful with one coin. Now I'm going to give you 10 coins. I'm going to give you more. I'm going to give you all." You see how contrasting that is. Interesting. Okay, so morals, all death, moron, morbid. You want ethics. John Bunyan in Pilgrim's Progress said the road of morals was the wrong road to go down, circa 1650 AD. See, morals and dogma, plan for world domination, the annihilation of Christianity via use of the Muslims, and the genocide of mankind through war and death camps. Morals and dogma. Albert Pike, author of the book Morals and Dogma, circa 1860, said in it, "We, meaning the Freemasons, we wage all revolutions. We wage all revolutions," meaning they make all the wars. Okay? See, Vatican, Hindu, Nazi, just good old boys. They want more and they want it all for themselves. They have no ethics, to say the least. On the morrow. Oh, yeah. So here's another Admiralty term that we use. Okay, Barbie, you got a story here. You were outside filming a while ago and saw an owl fly by. It got your attention, and then you looked up and there was a vulture sitting on your telephone pole. Well, you're having visions then, Barb, aren't you? Okay, so there you're looking at. Yeah, the vulture is quite an ominous creature. I gotta say. That's like telling us what's on the pole. Oh, on the pole, right? Yeah, the pole represents the columns. There you go, the column of death, right there. Okay. So morrow, on the morrow. So here, so here's where the word tomorrow originates out of Admiralty, like a lot of the words, right? So what does that mean? because tomorrow we got more row, because the Roman from ancient time were always having to row the ship, and so they call it tomorrow, more row, more row. Okay, every day is more row. We got to row again. Okay, we got to row again, more row. So that's where we get the term tomorrow from, because we're going to row some more. And I felt sorry for those guys. I don't know how those ancient people. I think it would be a curse to have to cut stone or have to row every day around the world. Can you imagine? And so those are times that I would not want to have been in. We've been spoiled, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so more row. See, sounds like fun. Sort of like being a slave truck driver doing 600 miles every day, but only worse. Yeah, I know about 600 miles a day. I only slept 3 days in my house on the lake that year. I went all over America, and then more Maine. Well, I'll leave it right here because I want to get on with the history of the church now, where the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, but we're not really going to the moon, are we? I hope not. I'm not ready to do that. No, they didn't go to the moon. That's one of the great lies of history. They just pretended. They were good actors, weren't they? Until they went to their press conference and they were all slinking in their chairs looking like kids that robbed the candy store and hoped nobody'd figure it out. Neil Armstrong and Collins and the other great liar. So we're in the book 3, Vespasian to Trajan, the distribution and writings of the royal Malik or royal messengers or apostles and their successors, enemies within the church, persecutions. Subtitle here: countries evangelized by the royal messengers, the misnomered as apostles. They were not packages and going postal. The first bishop of Rome, the Malachim letters, the Malachim's first successors. And I just need to turn that air conditioner off now. It's getting a little cool. Be right back. Hang on. All right. And want to welcome any new listeners out there. Okay. You are tuned in right here to the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. And I'm your host, Desert Owl. And every day right here at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we do the history of the church and the original gospel, capping off our special presentations of the forbidden history, what they didn't want us to know, but we have to tell, we have to hear, we have to know in order to be set free, ladies and gentlemen. 1. Such then was the plight of the Judeans. Meanwhile, the pure royal messengers and truth seekers, disciples was Mathaim, and Mathaim means truth seekers. So when we hear the disciples, they were called truth seekers. You see, simple terminology. Truth, yeah, of course, everybody loves the truth. Yeshua went around telling the truth that nobody else was telling. That's why he had 100 people walking behind him. Imagine that. And then, well, more than that, because, at one point, he's got 5,000 people in a field not wanting to go home, but stay right there with them. I can't get over it. What a story. Okay, so then the plight of such then was the plight of the Judeans. Meanwhile, I'm just going to use their terminology in here because I'd rather transliterate with scriptures. I'll just use their term. Meanwhile, the holy apostles and disciples of our Savior were scattered over the whole world. Thomas traditionally tells us was chosen for Parthia, Andrew for Scythia, John for Asia, where he remained till his death at Ephesus. Kepha, Peter, seems to have preached in Pontus, Galatia, and Bithynia, but that would have been later on because he was the first head of Rome. Cappadocia and Asia to the Judeans of the dispersion. That was Kepha. Finally, he came to Rome where he was crucified, upside down, head downwards, at his own request. What need to be said of Paul, who from Jerusalem as far as Illyricum Illyricum, preached in all its fullness the gospel of the star message of the Mashiach, and later was martyred in Rome under Nero, a true psychopath. This is exactly what Origen tells us in volume 3 of his commentary on Genesis. After the martyrdom of Paul and Kepha, Peter, the first man to be appointed Bishop of Rome was Lionus. He is mentioned by Paul when writing to Timothy from Rome in the salutation at the end of the letter. Of Kepha, Peter, one letter known as his first is accepted, and this the early fathers quoted freely as undoubtedly genuine in their own writings. But the second Petrine letter we have been taught to regard as non-canonical. Many, however, have thought it valuable and have honored it with a place among other scriptures. You know, I can't believe this guy was the librarian with the most sacred collection of writings. Then he takes it to Turkey. You know, I'm rather convinced that, you know, I have a feeling this history was actually written after the Nicene Council, which would have been around 318, give or take, AD. And therefore they had to have an official history of the church. And so I think he was under the scrutiny of Constantine and the cultic priesthood. And therefore, that's why he says things in here that does not make sense. I've got, you know, the other writings of Kepha Peter, and how he talks about how he had volumes of writings that had to be protected, you know. So it's rather interesting. It's just, you know, these are the enigmas that, you know, get us scratching our head. But I think it's because he sold out. Eusebius sold out and was under threat. You know, he had to do what he was told to do, or he would have been executed, you know. And bears his, okay, and so on the other hand, in the case of the acts attributed to him, the star message that bears his name, the preaching called his, and the so-called revelation, we have no reason at all to include these among the traditional universal scriptures, for neither in early days nor in our own has any a church writer made use of their declaration. In the course of my narrative, I will take care, and they didn't have communications like we do, so they didn't know what was happening in all corners of the earth either. In the course of my narrative, I will take care to indicate in such period which of the church historians of the time used various disputed books, their comments on the canonical and recognized scriptures, and their remarks about the other sort. And, you know, the word canonical is canon. Canon is Canaan, you know. And so right there, you know, that's a red flag right there when he's using that terminology, because that's Vatican terminology, you know. So we have to read between the lines. These men are the works. These then are the works attributed to Kepha Peter, of which I have recognized only one letter as authentic and accepted by the early fathers. Shaul Paul, on the other hand, was obviously and unmistakably the author of 14 letters. But we must not shut our eyes to the fact that some authorities have rejected the letter to the Hebrews. Well, there you go. You see, they were rejecting others as well, like Hebrews, one of the most powerful. That's my favorite of all the letters, you know, next to the Gospels, pointing out that the Roman Church denies that it is the work of Paul, that our predecessors have said about what our predecessors have said about it. I will quote at the proper time. As for the acts attributed to him, no one has ever suggested to me that they are genuine. Well, why don't you talk to the Spirit? Maybe you should talk to the Spirit, and you'll find out. Obviously, he didn't have it. You know, there's enough evidence of that, especially when he's working for the beast system. Give me a break. You know, he stole the library over there. As the same apostle in the salutations that conclude the letters to the Romans has referred, among others, to Hermas as reputed author of the Shepherd. That would be the biggest book of our New Testament, by the way. If you haven't read it, it's in the lost books of the Bible and forgotten books of Eden. The Shepherd of Hermas. Whoa. Well, you've got to read that, ladies and gentlemen, on your own. It is to be noted that this, too, has been rejected by some authorities. Of course it would. The best is always rejected, and therefore cannot be placed among the accepted books. Others, however, have judged it indispensable, especially to those in need of elementary instruction. Hence, we know that it has been used before now in public worship, and some of the earliest writers made use of it, as I have discovered. That by his reaching out to the creation, preaching to the commoners, Paul had laid the foundations the of the churches from Jerusalem by a roundabout route as far as Illyricum is obvious from our own words and from Luke's account in the Acts. Similarly, from Cafe Peter's language diction, we can gather the titles or names of the provinces from which he preached the star message of the Mashiach to the circumcised, proclaiming the message of the everlasting covenant. It is clearly stated in the letters which, as I breathe, is accepted as his, in which he writes to the Hebrews of the dispersion of Pontus and Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. But how many of them and which ones became genuine enthusiasts and were judged fit to shepherd the churches founded by the Malachim, the royal messengers, apostles, is not easy to determine, except for those whose names can be extracted from the statements of Paul, for he had innumerable fellow workers, or as he himself called them, fellow soldiers. Most of these he has honored with an imperishable memory, paying them constant tribute in his own letters. Again, Luke in the Acts, in listing Paul's disciples, mentions them by name. We may instance Timothy, stated to have been the first bishop appointed to the see of Ephesus, as was Titus to the churches of Crete. Luke by birth and Antiochene, and by his profession of physician, was for long periods a companion of Paul and was closely associated with the other royal messengers as well. So he has left us examples of the art of healing souls, which he learned from them in two divinely inspired books, the Gospel of the Acts and of the royal messengers, the apostles. The former, he declares, he wrote in accordance with the information he had received from those who from the first had been eyewitnesses and followers of the word, information which he adds he had followed in its entirety from the first. The latter he composed not this time from the hearsay, but from the evidence of his own eyes. Like it is actually suggested that Paul was in the habit of referring to Luke's gospel star message whenever he said, as if writing some star message of his own, according to my gospel, quote unquote, according to my star message, quote unquote. Of his other followers, Paul informs us that Crescens had set out for Gaul. Linus, who is mentioned in the second letter to Timothy as being with Paul in Rome, as stated above, was the first after Cafe Peter to be appointed bishop of Rome. Clement, again, who became the third bishop of Rome, was, and as the royal messenger himself declares, Paul's fellow worker and fellow combatant. Besides these, there was the Areopagite, Dionysius by name, who was, as Luke related in Acts, the first convert after Paul's address to the Athenians in the Areopagus. Okay, and I've got the letter to Dionysius. It's beautiful. I should read that one. Maybe that'd be a Sunday read, I think. He became the first bishop of Athens, at first recorded by a very early writer, another Dionysius, pastor of the See of Corinth. As we go on our way, I shall take the opportunity to set out the details of the chronological sequence from the royal messengers, the Malachim, apostles. For the moment, I had better proceed to the next stage of the story, and tomorrow we'll read the final siege on the Judeans of Jerusalem after the Mashiach and the crushing weight of the famine. Okay, so that's where we are right there. Okay, Ninja. Okay, that's a great statement there. Your mind is out of control with all the dots connecting and things firing up in there. Aha. Okay, so we've got to connect the dots. That's the thing we got to do. Okay, and so here we are. I'll do one chapter out of the original gospel where I transliterate an original thought as I go here. That's a pretty unique phenomenon in nature. I think I haven't heard of anybody actually doing this, and yet it's all corrupted. So therefore, we have to transliterate in order to get the picture. I got to turn on my air again, so stand by for a minute. Okay, and glad to have you all hanging in there with me. It's fun to share. It's really great to share things that nobody else seems to be talking about in a big way. And so yeah, we're in a very difficult time in our world, and we know the clock is ticking. We know that things are about to change forever, and I perceive it's what Yeshua called the Gentile dispensation, and we are being dispensed. So I guess I don't know, but it's the sky. The sky is so profoundly unreal that it seems like something will be coming any day now, to our front door here. Chapter 29. We're still in India with Yeshua, and he's got a beautiful letter here where Joseph dies. If I feel up to it, I may do the next chapter also, because it's the letter that he writes to his mother while he's in India, because his father has died. And wow, what a story, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so you'll hear the wisdom in that letter. Okay, so stand by, and let me continue here. So among Benares temple priest was one guest, a Yanan from Lahore. By merchantmen, a Yanan heard about the Judean boy, about his shavors of wisdom in wise judgment, and he dressed himself up and journeyed from Lahore that he might see the boy and hear him spark. And the Brahmic Amen Konun priest did not accept the truth from the tree's root that Yeshua brought, and they were angered much by what he had breathed at the Yudraka feast. Yeah, I guess they were troubled. I guess they weren't at peace, huh? Those priests just didn't have any inner peace. I'm so sorry. But they had never seen the boy, and they desired much to hear him spark, and they invited him to be a temple guest. But Yeshua breathed to them, the light is most abundant, and it shines where it shines for everybody. If you wish to see the light, then come to the light. Come out to the light. If you want to hear the message that the only true anointed pure great breath of the One has given to me, to give to blood of the earth, then come to me. Now, when the Amen Konun priests were told what Yeshua had breathed, they were enraged. Yanan did not share their wrath, and he sent forth another messenger with expensive gifts to Yeshua at the farmer's house. And he sent this message with the gifts. I create light for you, mother star. Listen to my burning swords of fire. The Brahmic law forbids that any Amen Konun priest should go into the home of anyone of lowest estate. That's the caste system that they set up, right? But it would be better that you should come to us. And I am sure these Amen Konun priests will gladly give ear to you speak. I create light that you will come and dine with us this day. And Yeshua breathed. The only true anointed pure one regards all men alike. The dwelling of my only true star, my host, is good enough for any council for the seed of the moon. If pride of caste system keeps you away, then you are not worthy of the light. My father Yahweh does not regard the laws of blood of the earth, or the rules, the codes. Your presence I send back to you. You cannot buy the knowledge of the great Elohim, who is Yahweh, with gold or precious gifts. These Shavors of Yeshua angered more and more the Amen Konun priests, and so they began to plot and plan how they might drive him away from their land. Yanan did not join with them in the plot or the plan, and he left the temple in the night and sought the home where Yeshua was staying. And Yeshua breathed, there is no night where the sun does not shine. There is no place of darkness where the sun does not shine. I have no secret messages to give. In the light, all secrets are revealed. Yanan breathed, I came from far away Lahore, that I might learn about this ancient wisdom in wise judgment and the royal sovereign domain of the only true anointed pure great breath of the one on the wind and wings of fire throughout all time, of which you spark about. Where is the royal sovereign domain? Where is the royal ruler? Who are the subjects? What is its legislative rules and code, its law? And Yeshua breathed, this kingdom is not far away, but blood of the earth with mortal eyes, with the natural eye cannot see it, yet it is within your heart, in your center. You do not need to seek the royal ruler in the earth, or in the sea, or in the sky. He is not there. And yet he is everywhere. The eye, he is the Moshiach of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. And he is the omniversal, universal love, the Travain love. The gate of this dominion is not high, and the eye who wants to enter it must fall down on his knees. It is not wide, and so none can carry earthly bundles along with them, because it is a narrow passage. The lower self must be transmuted into spirit self. The Buddhi must be washed in a living stream of pure water. Yanan asked, can I become a subject of this royal ruler, this Malachim? And Yeshua breathed, you are yourself a Malachim, a royal ruler. And you may enter through that gate and be a subject of the Malachim of Malachims, royal ruler of royal rulers. But you must lay aside your priestly robes. You must cease to serve the only true anointed pure great breath of the one for gold and other wealth. You must give your life and all you have in willing service to the seed of the moon. And Yeshua breathed no more, and Yanan went his way. And while he could not fully comprehend the truth, the great truth from the tree's root that Yeshua sparked, the eye, he saw what the eye had never seen before. The realm of the victory of light he had never had explored, but in his heart, the seed of the victory of light of this omniversal brother estate had found perfect soil to grow. And as he journeyed back to his home, he seemed to sleep or to dream and to pass through the darkest of night. And when he woke in the morning, the sun, S-U-N, sun of the perfection of light, had arisen. He had found that royal Malak, the royal messenger, the royal king. And now in Benares, Yeshua stayed for many diels and plowed and planted seed. Kaftor 30, and I'm going to read it because it's one of my favorites, okay? And you're going to hear the wisdom, and you're going to know, this is the evidence of of the pure nature that this is the original gospel, okay? It's unfiltered, in many respects, the way our other gospels have been filtered by the Vatican at the College of Abbreviators. So I just take another sip before I start here. Okay. One day, as Yeshua stood beside the Ganges, busy with his work and walk, a caravan returning from the west came close by. And one approaching Yeshua breathed, "We come to you just from your native land and bring unwelcome news. Your father, Volshaf, is no longer on the earth. Your mother is in grief, and none can comfort her. She wonders whether you are still alive or not. She longs to see you once again." And Yeshua bowed his head in deep thought, and then he wrote. And what he wrote, this is merely the summary. "My mother, most noblest of womankind, a blood of the earth just from my native land has brought me word that Father is no longer with us in the flesh, and that you grieve and are disconsolate. My mother, everything is all right. All is well for Father, and all is well for you. His work on this earth round is done, and it was nobly performed. In all the walks of life, men cannot charge him with deceit, dishonesty, nor wrong intent. Here in this round, he finished many great tasks, and he has gone from here prepared to solve the greater problems of the round of the soul, the cycle of the soul. Our Father, our great Father Yahweh, is with him there, as he was with him here, and there his royal Malachim guards his footsteps, unless he should go astray. Why should you cry? Tears cannot conquer grief. There is no power in grief to mend a broken heart. The plane of grief is the platform for idleness. The busy soul can never grieve. It has no time for grief. When grief comes marching through the heart, just lose yourself by plunging deep into the ministry of love, and grief will be gone. Yours is a ministry of love, and all the world is calling out for love. Then let the past go with the past. Be in the present moment and rise up from the cares of earthly things, and give your life to those who live and are alive. And if you lose your life in serving life, you'll be sure to find it in the morning sunrise, the evening dew, the songs of the bird, the scent of the flower, and in the beauty of the stars at night, the star message that comes. In just a little while, your problems of this earth round will all be solved. And when your problems are all worked out, it will be pleasure unalloyed for you to enter into the wider field of usefulness, to solve the greater problems of the mind and the shul, the soul. Work then to be content, and I will come to you one day soon and bring you greater riches than gold or precious stones. I am sure that Yalkanan, that's John, his best buddy, that Yalkanan will care for you, supplying you all of your needs, and I am with you all the way, Yeshua. And by the hand of a particular merchant going to Jerusalem, he sent this letter on its way. And you just got the forbidden history, ladies and gentlemen. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Yeah, I hear you, Lydia. Wow, right? I've been reading this book for the last 20 years practically, and I can't stop. I've read it over 36 times now, and I'm reading it every day because it is the greatest gospel that we never saw, ladies and gentlemen. It's all right here on the Forbidden History series. Hope you tell your friends. Hope you come back tomorrow. Like I said, I'm going to temporarily take off from doing evening broadcast and try to give all my effort right here in the morning for now. Okay, so thanks for tuning in. Good to have you again, Diane. And just don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know the future, then you need to look for the Forbidden History. And Shelley, what does Amen literally mean? It was a long time. I worked on that for a long time and just concluded over the last few months. As they say it means so be it. I think most correctly we should just transliterate it as let there be light. Let there be light. After reading an important scripture like this, what can we say but let there be light? Amen? Amen. Peace and love, everyone. Don't forget, if you want to know the future, just look for the Forbidden History because it's all right here on the Forbidden History series. I'm your host, Desert Owl, thanking you for tuning in. Always feel free to contact me by Skype, Free America Radio Network. No, just Free America Radio, all one word. Free America Radio. You can Skype me from anywhere in the world, or you can call me 608-566-7295. But for now, that's a wrap. Wish you all the best, peace and love, and enlightenment always. Ninja, thank you. Love you all. Thank you, Teresa, for stopping by with us. And thank you, Lou. And don't forget, tell your friends, ladies and gentlemen. After all, you wanted to know, didn't you? And thank you, Trish, as well. Thank you. Okay, fantastic. And thank you, Lydia, as well. Peace and love.